Okay, I'm back. Let's see. Next is our questions from DRIFTNZ, and I'll try to go through these more quickly. Otherwise, we're gonna have 5 hours of videos here. So, Drift's first question is beta testing. Yeah. So, uh, just about all of the features that we've been working on are ready for testing. So this is gonna happen. This is gonna kick in really soon. I don't want to say when exactly right now, but it's we're days away on some and maybe a week or two away on others. I'm still traveling from this whole big whirlwind travel that I've been doing for the last, I don't know, 5 weeks. So I'm not home where my big GPUs are. But uh, so next week I'll be back in San Francisco, and that's going to enable me more to get across the finish line to where you guys are testing. So I think stay tuned. We're it's a it's a matter of a week or two. I think almost entirely across the board. So beta testing soon. Um, Second question, Hiros, can we still get back on the same track? An example of delivery using BN, if not the main team, side project team. Yeah. So yeah, I want to integrate Heroes into kind of all the stuff that makes sense for Bignoodle. I always thought that changing tracks to for Bignoodle purposes should be an opportunity to bring awareness to Heroes, because I want it to be the life hack for people to get an agent, uh, maybe more cheaply than other methods, and just to naturally kind of um, raise the floor there. So yeah, absolutely. An example of it is the Star Trek storytelling will end up being heroes agents later. The images and the video that's generated, those will be heroes centric. Just as an example, I don't know how else to integrate heroes today, but yeah, let's figure it out. I think heroes can come back online, get on track with it while we're doing Bignoodle in this way. As soon as we do the token launch, that is in part a raise, a fundraise, right? And it's from that raise that I'll be hiring people. So we'll have more people to also work on this stuff as we slide into a phase where we'll want to use heroes as a way to market capabilities of Bignoodle. So they'll go hand in hand. Right now, the only the only money on hand is the OG Pass money, which is dedicated to the launch and not to hiring people. So that's there. Oh, my battery's gonna die. Um, and let's see, delivering exactly original goal. Yeah, exactly. And auggies is part of that for sure. Let me stop and get my power. Okay, back again. Um, on DriftNZ's third question, information on how BN can be used for visual AI gen. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about you, Drift, for kind of being a liaison. Yeah, all that applies here. It sounds like it won't be to do the gen, but to use agents to control the differently available AI gens out there. So yes and no. We're not building our own video model. Like we're not doing a VO3, right? Um, I'm not doing an LTX model. Like we're using their models, so we're definitely wrapping them. Not wrapping. That's the wrong term here. GPT could get wrapped, not these models. These models can be combined with LoRa's, which is something I got really good at building. And not exactly fine tuning, but by using LoRa's, we can really change the way a video based model works. That includes camera behavior LoRa's as well as visual LoRa's. So we can kind of change the look of a video, but also change the way a camera pans or a camera zooms or overhead shots, things like that. So that's something we're doing better. And one of the ways in which we're doing that better than most is this concept. I don't know the name, but it's usually written as agent as a judge. So they're kind of like quality control agents, because you can use an agent with a visual model to look at video or an image or anything, and ask it, are the hands correct, and let it know what correct and incorrect means. Is there morphing in the face? Uh, did any characters spawn a leg? Like, this is the kind of quality control that it sounds stupid, but it works. After, you know, at one point in Heroes, there's a bit of rush to get I was trying to fix stuff in the final hour, before the reveal, and I got hands working and stuff much better, uh, but it used so much compute, and now it's really way more efficient to do it. And I got it fixed, but then people didn't want it fixed. They like their imperfections because there's rarity in those, and more to come on that too. But to come back to visual AI generators, yeah, using some of the new AI models is where it's at, but there's special sauce on it. And I think, none of the models, even when you look at, and here's a little ramble, even when you look at a model like GPT-3, which is kind of trash for direct chat, but really comes into its own and shows its capability when you throw multiple agents at it, right? So some models have sweet spots for how they're used, and that's true of the free self-hosted video models out there. So and some of the new ones are just uh, awesome without agentic control, but with the agent as a judge and with the LoRa's, they could be taken to differentiated places, and that's where I'd like us to shine, and that's where you and I think, are gonna like work together, personally, on surfacing that. So I hope I answered your question there. 4, local versus cloud configurations. So, good question. The DPIN is our cloud, but there's a chicken and egg problem, right? And the idea of our DPIN has changed since the RTX 5000 series never really fully got released. I think Drift, you said you have access to some down where you are, but there's still none in San Francisco. Here I am in New York, and I'm looking here too at some of the big brand shops, and it's still like one or two are in stock. I might buy a 5090 while I'm here, and it's an open box, so that gives you an idea. Availability is definitely not where we want it to be for a DPIN, so the DPIN has evolved. But cloud versus computer. Okay, so some of our stuff, like we're running our deep research agent on Heroku right now, and I want to keep an eye on the expense of that. Right, our I've got the VMs, the Windows 11 VMs, in Docker droplets right now. They're kind of slow, so it depends on the use case. We might stick to a droplet where it's cheap, the use case, but in the case of running like After Effects on it in an automated way, if that's a thing we end up doing, it surely won't be in a droplet. The droplet just won't have the power for it. So this eventually, the DPIN is our cloud, and we're fully cloud on our DPIN. Period. Like that's the goal. And every time you look at a generative AI for our ordinals, it's always going to come from the DPIN. That's been the goal since day one of Heroes. Um, but some of these different use cases as we launch are going to be spread out across infrastructures that make the most sense for it. So I hope that makes sense. And it's been where a lot of testing has been in the past for, over here. So like I've been doing just a ton of trial and error to see what works and what doesn't. And it's call it a growing pain, I think, for the first year. Um, oh, something I'll add to local versus cloud is that I'm building everything into Docker containers, which means if you have a rig that is beefy, and I know you do specifically, um, you can run our Docker container locally. And that also means that if you're doing things like video editing, you can have local access to your whole library, maybe your whole NAS of video files without having to upload big 4K video files to a VM in the cloud, right? So that it's all possible. I'm not saying it's exactly a menu of options yet that we figured out the best of the best, but it's all been tested um, uh, in every configuration possible. And yeah, I think some of you may want to run our Docker containers on your computer, and that'll be possible. Um, and number 5, communications. You said you don't mind helping if you're suitable, and yeah, we talked about that, and I mentioned it. So thank you, DRIFTNZ. You're the man. Um, moving on to Guido, and thanks both you guys for your questions. Moving on to Guido. I always read it. Oh yeah, Guido 1077. I always skip the number in my mind. Lots of good AMA questions here. I'll just add some more detail around the angel tier, what they can expect in terms of what and when. Okay, so that's a good question because this part of the conversation we've never been clear on, mostly in part because uh, it's difficult to talk about because of rules and regulations in different countries, right? So, so I asked some smart people who invest, and some are lawyers actually, uh, about how to best handle this. And the advice I got was, don't talk too much about it. Um, and what ultimately what I came up with so that I could put something in a document for you that gives you kind of a promissory note is that the OG passes who are in that angel tier, which we've been kind of calling in air quotes, right? For legal reasons. Um, you guys are consultants. That would cover all countries because I don't know where y'all are from. Normally, when a startup goes looking for its first check from a VC, uh, part of the due diligence is explaining in detail how much money we maybe got from a rich uncle or other type of angel or hackathon or anybody who might have an ongoing stake in the project. That's what due diligence is when you kind of go through every investment that came before, anybody who might have a piece of the company, anybody who might expect shares of the company, and that all has to be just laid out on the table. So you guys get grouped together as one angel, like essentially, but you're all consultants. And the reason I say angel like is because you're going to get a percentage the way an angel would have. So first check in, first money in, that angel gets a percentage that follow on money needs to be aware of, and you're all proportional to your OG Pass contribution, but you're going to be treated, for the sake of keeping things not too confusing and not scary. Um, I'm going to treat you all like a single person. Let's say a consulting group, right? And you all get your proportion from that. So I really butchered the explanation, so maybe I'll re-record this part. But yeah, on paper, you're consultants, and from the point of view of future due diligence, should that need to happen, you all look like one entity. So there it is. Hope I answered that. Oh, what and when? You asked about when. So as you could see, this is like I've been seeking the right way to do this, and it hasn't been the highest priority while in build mode because I figured we'll get there. We'll sort this out. Like it's important to sort it out, but it's not important to sort it out today. So that's where it's at. It's not. There's no contract or anything yet, but we'll get there too. KENNYT, thank you for your questions. Who is the target user of Bignoodle? There's a couple. So we've got our Web 2 side, right? We've got the Web 2 front end, which brings in fiat. And some of our features will compete with tools like Manus or Ideogram, Midjourney, Kling. So we're going to operate a lot like they do, and we're going to operate with credits, and those are not tokenized. It's interesting because we get to do a lot of experimentation with how we gamify and play with credits, and they are bought with fiat, so they have value just by the sheer nature of us attaching our price tag to it. So I think we'll use credits also on the Web3 side, and they can be swapped for our token. Um, but there is a Web2 customer who shows up purely for features and purely for maybe how to play with their credits in our system, and how those credits have value in our marketplace. Um, but that's different than the Web3 user. So the Web3 user gets to swap those credits for tokens and have a very different view of what that value is. Uh, Obviously, um, with any tokenized project, the you guys know that language already, so I don't have to explain where that can go, but yeah, then we've got the speculator, the folks who get excited about an AI project the same way they might get excited about a subnet on BitTensor. And if we end up there, we're also going to be serving other subnets, one of which is I think our agentic use of CPUs is really unique. It's a huge differentiator. I also think our MCP middleware is a huge differentiator and unique feature of ours. Both of those could stand up as their own subnets, probably, and maybe they will. I don't know, but the idea is other subnets could use those, and so that's the kind of thing that the Web2 user doesn't care about, won't understand. We're not going to even mention it. If they want to dig deep, they can, but that's not the world they're in. But that's where the Web3 user should be interested, can be interested, um, and take part in that side of the project, whether that means the Bignoodle token or the Web2 credits or Tau, right? So if and when we get there, I guess to answer your question more directly, we've got people who are actually using the AI, and then there are people who want to earn based on the fact that the AI will be getting used. um, so I hope that answers your question there. Um, oh, and I should add, those target users are well understood, and so uh, we know how to go out to market for those. Where we have to give it some more thought is maybe on the Web2 side, where somebody might want just a marketing agent or a video gen agent or a personal assistant agent, or want to be a startup building their own agents. Those break out as very different personas, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to start to think about how to talk to each of those personas. But I'm grouping them all as a Web2 and a Web3. Okay, can we beta test? So I think we mentioned, yeah, we talked about that above. Probably best to structure with specific goals, trading, video gen, 3D modeling, agentic influencer, etc. Yeah, great question. Great way to lay it out too. And I think something I didn't mention before that I can add here is there's going to be structure on how beta testing works. So it's going to be very much a structured set of goals that we get out of your beta testing. So as you test it, you'll have fun with it, you'll enjoy it, like try to break it, but it's going to be a real specific set of questions that I haven't come up with yet that I'm going to be after the answers of. So it'll help me not only know how to maybe fix what's broken, of course, but also where the value is in some of these tools for you guys as a representative of the world, right? Um, so so I don't know if it'll be in the form of a web form or just some kind of numbered answers in a channel, but yeah, we'll figure that out. Um, what is the budget priorities? Buy back and burn sounds great, but it seems more productive to buy enough hardware to get usable network to test cloud aspects. So I don't want to buy hardware. I want the DPIN to really uh, be grassroots, be what Ethereum was. I want the rewards to be there so that miners who don't care about AI or Bignoodle or Bitcoin show up. You know, I think we can do that, and we're gonna have to like kind of give it a nudge in the beginning, and it'll be amongst our community, and maybe a lot of it will be me personally. But and I've got some partnerships in the works. One I mentioned but haven't talked much about is like HP bought all the rights to the Humane pin, uh, and I know I have basically I'm chatting with the folks behind Humane, uh, so there might be something there where we have you know, somebody who is also motivated to have our agents unbrick the humane pains as an example of like maybe we're going to get infrastructure or investment in infrastructure out of them, but I don't know. That's not 100% yet, so I shouldn't really even be mentioning it. But yeah, I'm not sure what the future holds in that way. But I really want to align the rewards to the cost of hardware or bring your own hardware, so that um, so we can recreate what Ethereum had, basically that kind of electricity, right? Um, or other mining ecosystems. Let me go back to your question. I feel like I went off on a tangent there. Oh, it's budget priorities. Okay, so I keep mentioning buy and burn because it's going to be super impactful. We will have something a lot of other projects don't, which is fiat as an input and a primary input. Um, we're going to get our treasury, our the number of tokens that are in circulation. You know, we will get it down to 21 million, which is a great goal, and a great nod. So you know, I mention it a lot because it's exciting to me to be able to show that fiat is an input, and we're showing it by doing this burn. Like I think that's just uh, an amazing story to be able to tell the rest of the Web3 world. Say this is not just our narrative. This is we've executed on this, and like only you can too. Have enough utility to find market, you know, product market fit and find traction um, out there where fiat lives. So yeah, I'm on a tangent again. So budget priorities. The budget priorities really is, you know, in the tokenomics we've outlined some of the percentages of some teams, and I think those are pretty conservative. But at some point we really shift to fiat. Um, no longer burning and actually just creating a big fiat treasury here. Um, so the budget priorities will probably change over when we experience that changeover. But in the first year when we're building, it's yeah, it's been outlined in the tokenomics, and I don't remember what the biggest pie is, but marketing is going to be a really big deal. Um, just to get the word out, just to make Bignoodle a household name, pretty much. Um, let me moving on. There was more to the budget question, but I feel like maybe we covered it. So, yeah. 3A. What difference to the project comes with bigger liquidity providers getting involved? So it's mainly that ability to um, move a decimal point over, right? When we after we've launched. So we're going to look like a bigger project because we'll start out with a bigger treasury for the project, and that directly informs the token. So that having a bigger liquidity provider or slash market maker does not mean that we have more money in our budget to say build with, but it directly informs the token behavior. So so yeah, the biggest difference is will look like a, you know, maybe a blue chip if there is such a thing in the AI crypto world, and we're going to get a lot of attention right away, right off the bat, with a bigger provision of liquidity out of the gate. So that's really all it is. That's how I'm looking at it anyway. I'm sure this can be broken out in more creative ways, but that's really all I'm after with a liquidity provider. I want to keep uh, that relationship as simple as possible, and I think they probably do too. In the conversations I've had so far, a couple of them I'm not so interested in anymore because I mean, their business model is to dump, right? But but and I like the simplicity of that. You know, don't beat around the bush. If you're here to pump to dump, that's great. But the pump and dump is what I want to stay away from. And so yes, some of the liquidity providers that I've spoken to have gotten crossed off the list because of that, because of the pump part. Um, so let's see. Did I answer your question? Yeah, I think so. Number four, can an agent be created to shadow you and report on what is happening, or other things that will free you up from some hero story going? Yeah, so I kind of want to get to a place where all of this is run by agents. You know, I'm not there yet because building infrastructure uh, isn't a place where I think the agents can help me much. Um, but I think agents can run a good majority of Bignoodle, and specifically the hero side of things, once we're up and running. So yeah, I want some agent shadows for sure. Uh, what's your take on open source and how it can be profitable? I love open source. I come from open source. I will not never stop singing the praises of open source. So we will open source a lot of what we do, but I also believe that it's wise to open source one's own tech when the timing's right. We're too early. We want to have a stronger platform to launch with, and maybe not be open source at launch or in the first year. So let's give ourselves a chance to take the lead with what we're building, and then kind of promote some of what we've done as possibly future standards, like our MCP middleware. I'd love to see that be adopted by others. I think it's um, a strong enough idea that others will want to copy it as soon as they know how it works. But what I'd like to do is open source it so that they have a guideline to work with the library we've already created, and add to it. So um, everything we make will end up as a community effort and and a place where there can be community contributions, because that's the power of open source. Um, and really, it's the way we battle the distribution challenge of the Googles and the Open AIs. Uh, we will be stronger in numbers, and open source does that for us on the back end. So, and I think that's it for Kenny T's questions. Eddie Knuckles. You know what? I'm going to stop right here and come back in a second. Thank you guys.